So it is hump day. It is middle of the week, and big shout out to Alex Palou for his victory at the Indy 500. I'm gonna tell you right now, Alex Palou is a dog. Alex Palou is a dog. He's a competitor. He's a dog, and that just made me think: what would it have been had all the dust not even been brought up during the whole lawsuit? So we're gonna keep a buck here, okay? Because anything I'm about to say right now is hopes and dreams of wishing and thinking of what if. What's up, Mary Beanie, first in the live chat on that podium. So we already know, of course, very controversial, very legal situation involving Mclaren, Ganassi, Alex Palou, and the hopes are the agreements of Alex Palou basically driving for McLaren because they are an Indy car with the arrows, and him being part of the McLaren team. But there was some breach of contract or some disagreements there in both houses, Ganassi and McLaren. Ganassi had an option for Palou for that 2023 season, and of course as a reserve driver, which I would hate, honestly, to see Alex Palou. The Leon's son is second in the live chat for that podium. I would hate to see Alex Palou in a reserve driver role, much like we are seeing Felipe Drugovich in a reserve driver role. And it's not pretty, nor is it fun to watch, because we think it's an absolute waste of talent. And Alex Palou would be just that if he was only a reserve driver for McLaren. However, this whole entire situation did not work out if you're not familiar with it, because at the end of the day, Alex Palou decided, well, McLaren, Dave's Quattro, third in the live chat, Dave's Quattro will get that podium finish right there, that he was better off at Ganassi because McLaren had not had a clear view for him to get into Formula One. And I know basically by talking to Alex Palou in person that he was one of his objectives. I'm not saying it was his prime or main objective, but I'm just saying verbally talking to Alex Palou in person, he had relayed or expressed the desire to be closer and more in tune with his family, and he's a Spaniard, to be able to do races there, because we all know IndyCar is predominant, like right here in the States. Okay, he's wanting to get back Europe. He's wanting to get back to that side, on top of being able to race in the most elite motorsports in the world. However, that did not take place because of the situation, and Palou not knowing that he would have at least a direct pathway to Formula One that would allow him to race for a Formula One team that would be heavily competitive. So in that whole sense, I think Alex Palou made a business decision. He decided that if I'm not going to be able to drive for Formula One, which is one of the top teams in McLaren, if McLaren's not going to be able to supply me a seat, then I'm going to stay where I am. And him making that decision, to me, was the better decision. I think that I think much like Oscar Piastri, when Alpine tried to force him into a situation of you're going to be our driver, and without basically letting Oscar Piastri know we want you to be our driver instead of Alonso, what happened there is what Alex Palou pretty much did in another situation. He decided McLaren does not have a seat for me. They already have long-term contracts with Lando and Oscar, and driving for their IndyCar team is not going to put me in the best situation to continue to be a champion, which he is, a dog and a champion. This Indy 500 last one, the moves he had that he put on toward the end of that race, already tires pretty much, I think, over 10 laps more used than other teams, and his fuel situation. Alex Palou has proven in adverse situations he can come out on top. And that's exactly what McLaren needs. And that's what I want to address. What would this team have been? And big shout out to the top podium step live chat enters as Mary Beanie first. If you're not first, you're last. The Leon Son second, and Dave's Quattro third. That completes our live chat podium. But what could McLaren have been with Alex Palou and Oscar Piastri, though? What could that have been? I mean, honestly, that would have been a straight vicious drivers pairing. But also on the other end, on the other side of the spectrum, McLaren are kind of proving that they don't really know how to manage this driver's pairing, where you got a driver who's really not completely confident. He's in and out of deciding if he has it or he doesn't have it. He proves on track sometimes that he doesn't have it. And then you got Oscar Piastri, who's a straight dog, who's going to go for the gap, who's going to press Max Verstappen, who's going for the win, who is trying to lay down a resume to McLaren that says, this is not the Lando era. This is whoever is the best era. And right now, I think Oscar has more race wins than Lando has in his career in the short time that Oscar has been racing with McLaren. And so I just do. Sometimes I wonder if this whole, and big shout out to Ganassi Racing for not letting the McLaren kind of strong arm them into that legal situation. Because I think McLaren was trying to sue Palou for like $30 million. I think it was a lot of millions. It was a lot of millions that they were trying to sue out of him for basically, money put into it, development, allowing him to test, all the money investing to kind of woo him into this honeymoon phase of being a McLaren IndyCar driver. And it's not a bad move by McLaren. Okay. If they got, I know what we say about Lando. I'm not coming off of my position on Lando as far as it being felt that Lando's just not that guy that we could trust to do what needs to be done when you got to get downright dirty and brolic in the pit. I agree with that. But it is to say that McLaren pretty much trying to have a strong organization between all racing disciplines. I'm not mad if they say, yo, Alex, we're going to bring you in, but it's going to be for the IndyCar team, and we're going to keep Lando and Oscar in the Formula One team, because that's just business. And right now, Oscar and Lando, because Lando's last win puts him at 6-6 even, but Oscar still leads in the Drivers' Championship. So I'm not mad at it, but I still do wonder if McLaren had made some type, if there would have been, because I don't think contractually, I think it would have been even a bigger debacle with saying, yo, Lando, we putting him in the car and you in reserve, depending on whatever kind of contractual agreements they have. So I'm speaking outside of that, tabling that, just saying that if all things fitting, do you think McLaren would have been a stronger team with Alex Palou and Oscar Piastri? Basically, we could have called them the P&P boys, you know what I'm saying? The P&P team. And I want to poll that. I want to know what you think about that. With Pia and Powell, because that's what it would have been, Pia and Powell, pen pals. Do you think McLaren would have been a stronger team with Alex Palou and Oscar Piastri? And also, you do got to keep in mind Alex Palou's lack of experience driving a Formula One car. That's still part of it. But you also probably have to keep in mind what's his learning curve. Because Oscar Piastri has less experience than Lando driving a Formula One car, and he's bringing it. So, and it also, I don't count Alex Palou out. I just don't count him out. I think honestly it would be a stronger driver pairing on paper and with talent. I just don't know if McLaren have exhibited the potential or the ability to manage a driver's pairing that strong, because those are two headstrong drivers, one reserved and very calm, cool, and collective. The other, Alex Palou, could get vicious. And I don't know if McLaren could do that. What's going on, Galactus, in the live chat? I don't know if McLaren would be able to manage that. So it's likely that McLaren have a little bit more on their plate than they can manage. And with Alex Palou, it would have just been abundantly too much. But Alex Palou is a dog. Big shout out to him. I mean, championships 2021, 23, 24, and he's looking at possibly landing another championship now. I think that for his career, Mary Beanie in the Super Chat said, hey, Jay, I can't believe it's 33 months family member. You heard the rumor about Honda Ferrari is shit, and Adami came from Toro Rosso, moved into F1 in 2015. Yeah, Mary, I did hear about the so-called unofficial reporting that Ferrari approaching Christian Horner about coming there, and I'm kind of just, if he's on your team, he's good for your team. If he's not on your team, he's a pain in the ass. And honestly, I couldn't say I would want any parts of Christian Horner in my team, period, at this point in time. Honestly, I just wouldn't. But I guess we could talk about that for another video. But yeah, I know Alex Palou he's doing an awesome job. He's creating an awesome legacy for himself as a Spaniard in an American dominant sport, IndyCar. And I don't know, and it would be cool to see him if he reaches a point where he feels, hey, I've done a lot in the IndyCar. I really want to test my skills in another discipline. I don't know what that would be, because IndyCar would think Formula One. And listen, if there is a driver who would be up to drive for Cadillac, I'd like to see Alex Palou drive for Cadillac. If it could be Alex Palou and Sergio Perez, Alex Palou, and we talking about Yuki Tsunoda, if it could be Alex Palou and whoever is in that other seat other than Daniel Ricciardo, I would like to know if Alex Palou is a candidate to drive for Cadillac as they come in 2026. That could be crazy. I mean, by then he has 4, championships, driving championships in IndyCar, then decides to come over to Formula One with a good, clean contractual pathway. I think that would be dope. Now I don't know how he's going to fare. I don't know how it's going to turn out. I don't know what will happen, because we really don't know. We just kind of anticipate, or we assume that hopefully that he would do well, or anybody would do well that we watch him. But honestly, we really don't know how well they're going to do until they actually get into the seat, till they actually get into the car, till they actually start having some seat time there. So, everything that we would assume is based on whatever kind of body of work that they've laid down as of right now, and that's fair to do. It's just not all the time realized realistically. So yeah, I'm not even mad at it. But if he can get with Cadillac, that could be crazy nice. That could be crazy nice. For sure, that could be crazy nice. So I'm wondering what's next for Alex Palou. I'm wondering what's next for McLaren coming up this weekend in Spain. Alex Palou, Spaniard. And I do wonder if McLaren may have sat back and thought, like, maybe we could have handled that situation better a little bit with Alex and probably landed us a solid driver. But as it sits right now, I think Alex came out on top. I think Alex made the better decision as far as his career right now. I just do. I don't think McLaren at this point in time have a clear grasp on what they're going to do. But I'm going to tell you this, they're not far behind. They're not far behind at all. Because other than Alex Palou in that car in Ganassi Racing, McLaren's right there. So and then you got to think about this. If he had been with McLaren, because they run Honda Power Unit. If he had been with McLaren, like let's say all of that worked out, he'd been with McLaren, because McLaren runs Chevy Power Units, I believe, and they're not far behind. McLaren could very well be a championship team with Alex Palou right now in that seat, because he's the only thing holding McLaren from being in first and second. Technically, from being first and second, if they had it, both drivers are tied together. Both drivers from McLaren are tied together, so it's not as if they're far off, but that could have also been a handshake. So even when you think about that, as I talk about this a lot, I wonder if Alex Palou looks and says, maybe there would have been a better segue into Formula One. It just would have been delayed had I been with McLaren, got a championship with Ganassi. I get a championship with McLaren. They run the Chevy Power Unit, which is a GM brand. And then I could have come into Formula One via Cadillac GM and been on the grid there. That could have been a pathway for him as well. So it's probably some some things, some critiques to take on both sides about how that situation got handled, and maybe some possibilities and potential opportunities that were missed because it wasn't. But as it sits right now, Alex Palou came out on top in where he is right now. IndyCar with championships, with the car that Genasi's afforded to him. And then again, Honda Power Units ranking again at the top in championship levels in Formula One and IndyCar. And now Honda's about to go with Aston. So Honda's cool. But Chevy's proven, at least in IndyCar, we can make a strong engine. Like, we can make a strong engine to compete in a racing series. I just wonder what it's going to look like when they finally get their Formula One engine together within the new regulations and they bring that car to the grid in 2027. 2026, I'm not holding Chevy to any type of, I'm not holding GM, Chevy, Cadillac. I'm not holding GM to any type of high standards. I'm not holding Audi to any type of high standards. Although I'm looking at Audi like, I want to see what you're going to do, because you did kind of pull a prima donna move with the whole, Audi and then Porsche backing out, and the Audi it was kind of prima donna-ish, but they did what they had to do what they needed to do, and they got it done. So now I do hold them to a little bit more standard wanting to see there, but we'll see. But yeah, I wonder if Alex Palou could pop up on the grid in Formula One with Cadillac, if there was ever some type of relationship that could be established there, or is he just going to remain in IndyCar and never find his way into the Formula One environment? So I would like to see him in Formula One, because I would like to see what his possibilities are, but I'm not mad if he decides that it just ain't going to happen, because I'm just having so much success where I am, and I'm going to be cool where I am. Sometimes there's a situation there where you have to realize what's your wheelhouse and what's not, and where your bread is really buttered and where it could be dry and stale. So there are a lot of decisions that are made by athletes for reasons they believe are going to be progressive tend to kind of diminish their careers, if not their legacy. So big shout out. Oh, Miss Dino, I see your badge color changed to that Patronus blue, though. Congratulations on that upgrade. I see you. I remember, your badge wasn't that color. You done got upgraded. You done came up off that beige into the Patronus blue. I see you there. Hey, salute. Getting upgraded. I see you. Progressing in the family. We need to, hey, Miss Dino, congratulations on that. Big shout out. Look, we got Mary Bean in here, 33 months. We got Miss Dino upgrading. Darth going to be next. Next thing you know, we're going to see the green badges. So, yeah, big shout out to everybody that's a family member here at the Wolfpack. Big shout out for you supporting. Big shout out for you being part of the family. Big shout out for you offering your perspective and your opinions. And big shout out for chilling with us on race weekends, which we got another one coming up this weekend. So we will have another Wolves Den on Sunday. I need to look and see what time the race is before I say that, because it might need to be on Saturday. But yeah, we got another race weekend coming up. We're at the end of the triple header, and then after that, I believe it goes into another break before we come back, and then it's game time. Matter of fact, let me look at that and see what we got, how long of a break we got right here coming up as we end this triple header right here. So we got this weekend, which is coming up, and then we got a nice little break until June 13th. So that's going to be some break time for at least looking 2 weeks. Yeah, we got a nice little break coming up for about 2 weeks after that. So at least a week. I think that's like a week, because we got May, June, then it's got like the 13th, which is crazy because that's weird. So yeah, we got about a week and a half. It's not really even 2 weeks. It's more like a week and a half. And then after that, we got another week and a half break from the 13th to the 27th. And then from there, we back into it the whole time. So yeah, definitely check in with us this week. We're going to be live again this week. We're going to do qualifying, see how that's going to go. We're going to do the race. We're going to be having all types of talks, and all types of things probably going to pop off as we kind of hit this triple header before we hit that week and a half off. So big shout out to everybody. Big shout out to Alex Palou. Congratulations to Alex Palou. Real cool dude when I met him. Nice conversation when I met him. And he does seem legit. You never know what a real person is like until you spend a lot of time with them. 57% of you all said yes, that McLaren would be a better team with Pia and Alex Palou. And I think a lot of that is because we've lost some, belief in this guy right here. Lando Norris, we don't think that he can really handle the pressure, and he cracks under pressure. So I can understand that. I'm with y'all on that 57%. So, all right, we'll see y'all later. Check in. Wolfpack Performance out. Peace.